You know, the guy that won the thing on national television, he's gonna be at the library. The guy that, the kid that was the Blue Duck.
Yeah.
That's gonna be cool. Yeah, well, yeah. Hi.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, you're right,
I'd like to call to order the April 13th meeting of the Washington Planning and Zoning Commission. Please, let's first, sorry.
Rocco Gonzalez, Mark Kleesner, Mark Piantek.
Here.
Mayor Hagedorn.
Here.
John Bortman.
Here.
Chuck Watson.
Here.
Chad Briggs.
Here.
Karen Witt. Here. Mike Wood. Here. Ken Shear.
Here.
Aaron Beckman.
Here.
Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I hope everyone's had an opportunity to read through the minutes from March 9th, and if so, I would entertain a motion.
I wanted one change.
Okay?
On page 8, it's got me quoted, and I'm pretty sure that was the gentleman from Houston Homes.
Okay.
Any others? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Motion to approve with that change?
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the minutes with that change. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. First item on the agenda, file number 26-0407, preliminary plat, Washington Square Shopping Center, Plat 3, Hawthorne Investors LLC.
Yes. Good evening, Commission. So the first item on your agenda tonight is a preliminary plat. This is a one-lot re-subdivision of kind of the greater Washington Square Shopping Center here. You can see highlighted there is the portion of the greater Washington Square Shopping Center the applicant wishes to subdivide from the shopping center. So lot 1B is what they're creating here. This is kind of a greater trend we're seeing as, owners kind of get into, new tenants come in and want ownership of their properties. So part of a greater trend here. Something to note here is this. I've noted this in the staff report, but this specific application will need a variance. The new tenant of I guess it's not a new tenant; it's a whole new building. They're proposing a Chipotle for this site, and to fit the required fire lane width on site, they need a variance. The red line on your let's see, where are we? Maybe. Where's my pointer? Is it working?
I don't see it.
No, it's off. There we go. There we go. Okay, so the red line here is the setback, the 25-foot rear setback. As you can see, it goes right through their proposed new building, so they will need a variance, and that'll happen next Monday at 5, and they will need that before final plat approval, which they are aiming for at the council meeting shortly after next week. There's a cross-access easement on the plat here. Right here, as that is all private in there, so that'll be maintained so people can access the business. I think the applicant is here if you want to come up and talk about the project.
Good evening. My name is John Shabaum. I'm a civil engineer with BFA. We are representing both the future landlord and Chipotle, who is the future tenant. So this is similar to what happened with Taco Bell probably about 8 months ago. They're going to parcel this area off, purchase the property, and then Chipotle is looking to redevelop. So happy to answer any questions you have.
So which way will the building face?
The building will face Highway 47 to the west. And so that's kind of
That's
the
why the
purpose of
rear
moving it.
setback is the 25 that they're going to be getting a variance on, is that correct?
I mean, it's not so much as the direction the building faces. That's the direction the road is.
Okay.
So, or where the lot is compared to where the road is. That's what determines the front setback.
So Taco Bell to our north kind of gets away with it because they can utilize frontage to Highway 100 to the north. On our parcel, 47's our front, and you have to have a front opposite the rear, so we're kind of stuck right there.
So the entrance is at the top, at the north side?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Sorry.
No, go ahead. What's the significance of the parking access agreement type? You've got notes on there.
Yeah, so the way our off-street parking standards are written, they on site they would not have enough parking to meet our off-street parking requirements. So they've entered into a parking agreement with the Greater Washington Square Shopping Center to kind of get some spaces to meet our off-street parking requirements, and that's allowed. They just have to be within those parking spaces, or the lot those parking spaces are on just have to be within 300 feet of the primary entrance, and these all meet that. So.
Okay.
Any other questions from commissioners? Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak to this? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a
Discussion.
motion. Oh, sorry.
Second.
Any other discussion? Sorry. So we have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Item number 2, file number 26-0409, special use permit, 14 West Main, 0 lot line. Bill Greife.
Yes, so before you, our next item on the agenda is a special use permit for a 0 lot line building at 14 West Main. There it is, downtown in the C3 commercial district. So specifically, we're talking about the intersection of Main and Jefferson, and this photo on the bottom illustrates the parking lot, which is currently a private lot next to where Andy's Produce has their outdoor storage. Specifically, why this is a special use permit is our C3 district calls this out as a special use permit. In the code description, they say, any proposed 0 lot line on a parcel adjacent to a 4-way intersection shall apply for a special use permit. So the applicant is proposing where that red square on your screen is. That'll be a new a building. Let's see, was there a photo of it on that last slide? No, I guess not. It's later in the presentation. But anywho, so where this red square is will be a new building on top of that parking lot there. And so because it is to the property line and there's the 4-way intersection, Main and Jefferson there, they're required to apply for a special use permit. And so some history for the commission about why this was written the way it was and why 0 lot lines are required to obtain a special use permit. This arose after the Main and Marketown homes were developed in 2020 and 2021. Specifically, this Main and Market was a 2-way intersection, and the commission and staff at the time believed that instituting, requiring any sort of development downtown to require a special use permit would be a good preventative measure to, kind of get ahead of any sight and distance issues that we may face. And these are just a couple of Google Maps screenshots showing that there were legitimate sight distance issues at that site that it needed to be a 4-way stop. However, Main and Jefferson is a 4-way stop as of I think November, or it was late last year. It became a 4-way stop. So staff frankly has no concerns with this site. It's a 4-way stop. There are plenty of 4-way stops downtown that have, all of their intersections covered by 0 lot line buildings. And just some detail about the applicant's proposed building here. It's an entertainment center, bowling, arcade center, event space. And something of note is that they only need planning approval for the 0 lot line property. All of the other uses are permitted, so it's just making sure that they can build to the fullest extent to the property line. And as I mentioned there, Main and Jefferson is a four-way stop. And I believe the applicant is here tonight if you want to come talk. You don't have to, but if you want to come talk to the commission, you're more than welcome to.
Good evening. Dale Greify. I'm a developer here in town. Yeah, we're looking at a bowling center here at Main and Jefferson. I don't like that 3D model. It's nothing like it's gonna look. I mean, it's gonna fit the downtown look. This is just a rough draft. I hate showing this. But yeah, like Aaron said, that used to be, Jefferson didn't have to stop, so a line of sight up Jefferson is pretty necessary. I don't feel like it's necessary now. You can clearly see. I don't think I'll have any visibility issues, but you guys got any questions? I can try to answer.
Will there be on-street parking then?
Yeah, actually, around that block, we're pretty much getting rid of all the two entrances and exits from the parking spaces. Most of the parking is, obviously, we're building on that whole lot, which is why we acquired the US Bank, the old US Bank lot. So the main entrance to this building will be off of 2nd Street, and the parking will be catty-cornered from that at the old,
So there won't be an entrance off of Main Street
There
or
will,
Jefferson?
there will, mainly because the existing alley right now, the barcade, that's gonna become, if you guys have been by recently, we did a playscape, a 3-story. That entire structure is gonna be all playscape for different age groups. So that'll be like a membership-based indoor play, trampoline, park, that type of stuff.
But all the parking will be back to the southwest.
Yes, and like I said, on Main Street, there's gonna be no entrances, so it'll be all parallel parking all the way down Main Street. So we're gonna open up a lot of spots that used to be entrances and exits. And we still, on the backside of that building, are gonna end up with 40-some spots on that block towards 2nd Street, and then we'll end up with, I figured, 117 spots at 2nd and Lafayette, corner of the old US Bank lot. Right. So.
So I know there's a fire department connection on the front of the old Missourian building. Is that going to stay, or will that be
Yes.
moved?
Yes.
Does that
it's,
restrict some
the
of your
existing
parking?
plans right now are that FDC location stays in the same place.
So you'll lose a couple parking spots there, or at
Yeah.
least one. Okay.
Exactly, yeah, didn't think of that.
Any questions from commissioners?
I guess on the parking aspect, Aaron, I'm not real clear. Is that part of what what we're really being asked about tonight is the special use permit?
Yeah,
for
that's
the
correct.
intersection?
What Planning Commission is being asked is to allow the applicant to orient the building to, be, take up the fullest extent of this lot here at the corner of Main and Jefferson. However, the parking though, next week at the Board of Adjustment meeting, the applicant has also requested a variance for off-street parking. In our code, downtown, we do not require off-street parking standards for existing structures, but for new construction, we do require off-street parking. So the applicant is requesting a variance for the amount of off-street parking they're required to provide.
And that's the only variance they'll need?
Correct.
Gail, have you heard anything from any of the property owners around you? I mean, you own most of that property around you, so unless Lisa says something to you, you're probably pretty good.
Yeah. I haven't heard any negatives. Main Street's starting to get busy. So the parallel parking spots along Main Street, we try to be, Joe's complained before at lunchtime, I make sure all the construction guys don't park on Main Street so his customers have a place to park there. But, it's getting busy there, so.
You think, I mean, I know you're moving Andy's to the other side too. I mean, they're basically losing their parking spot
Yeah,
now by going outside.
Andy's, Aaron, do you have that picture you had before? Andy's will have, there you go. Andy's moving to that side there.
This building right here.
Yeah, I'll be submitting for permits for that build probably next week. But Andy's outdoor portion will be to the left of the building. And then that that section behind it as well. That'll be all their produce and their Christmas trees and all that stuff. And then their customers will be able to use, well, you got public parking,
City owns that, right?
The city owns this lot right here.
yes. Yeah, and so they'll have public parking their customers can use, and then the street parking. And of course, we're not gonna care if our tenants, customers use also the US Bank parking as well.
And something to just note about that I forgot to mention is this board approved, or well, I guess recommended approval for a special use permit for Andy's in 2022 to do outdoor storage. Since it's all in the same lot, they don't need to do anything with that. So just thought I'd mention that.
There wasn't a size requirement on that, was there, when we did that? They were allowed to use so much space? It may not be exceeding it now.
I don't remember.
Does anyone on this board remember? I don't remember seeing anything on, when I watched through the meeting.
I have
Mr.
a
Retrospect.
Graffy, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I have a question for Aaron.
Mhm.
Did any of this needed to go by the Historic Preservation Commission?
Eventually, it will need design review, but I don't think you're at that point quite yet
And I've
for
already
detailed.
met with them a couple of times. They're actually helping me with the exterior design on the main.
This is
bowling.
good to hear.
Yes.
This is good to hear.
Yeah,
I
we've
wasn't
already met
being
a couple of-
hostile, this is good.
That's kind of why the building is just a blank, I threw some windows on the upper floor just to, and it is gonna end up being a flat roof. It's not gonna be that pitched roof that's shown in that. And I just wanted a blank slate, so in these meetings, we can just sketch and start drawing. There'll be obviously a lot of brickwork on Main Street. My request to them is, be kind. Obviously brick all the way around this building is very expensive. but,
Well, they're not gonna
we'll
be,
spend
they're
some
not gonna
money.
be hostile, but they're gonna be encouraging.
Yeah, I think that everything's good. I mean, I'm gonna spend money on Main Street and then try to save some money. That corner of Main and Jefferson, I think, is the focus they were really concerned about. They really wanted that corner to look right, but, then on the back side of the building and the side that goes up against the existing structure, all of that, I can, use a little bit cheaper building materials along there, so.
And that will be a two-story?
Yes, it'll be a steel framed structure with, a brick facade on Main Street, and then there'll be a mezzanine. So yeah, it'll be a two-story from Second Street, you enter actually on the mezzanine. That'll be the main entrance.
I think I have your plans here. Yeah, so this will be the main entrance.
So there's Lafayette
Right
Plaza
here.
on that one, right there.
So the main entrance will be around right here,
Around right
where my
here.
mouse is going.
Yep. And you'll enter it onto the mezzanine. Yeah, and that monoslope roof, none of that's gonna,
And that's why, Carolyn, to answer your question, that's why it has not gone to historic preservation for official review yet, because that's still a very much a work in
I'm
progress.
just glad that they're gonna have some input into it, because you've got Andy's stuff across the street, which is very much in kind with the historic, and you have a lot of very modern-looking black, which is fine, but
yeah,
to temper that a little bit for a
I'm learning.
transitional area.
yeah, I'm learning, to get them involved early on
We,
in the concept
I know they
phase.
appreciate that, because too often they come in too late,
Yeah.
things
Well,
are
with the-
done, like painted green and things like that, that we don't know anything about, and
Yeah.
so this is good.
Yeah, I figured I might as well get them in and let them help me sketch up something. And with the spa, I picked colors on the palette of their book. So I thought, well,
See, and
that's good.
See, and that's also good, you know about that, so I
Yeah.
want you to know that those are good things.
Good.
And I don't think, as I said, I don't think you're gonna get any grief, but at the same time, they need to be kept in the loop, which obviously you're doing, so thank you.
Absolutely.
Do I see a walkway across?
This is concept.
A
but
bridge?
I'm starting to get some numbers in and it looks really, I think it might happen. And of course, I'll have to come and get approval on that. Yeah.
Make it like the old bridge?
Yeah, I
That's
love
what we
that.
want to do. Haslab is pretty excited about it.
It's gonna have to be,
So.
Yes.
There's be a concrete platform pre-poured, and then we bring that in, and then the structure wouldn't be structural. That would just all be facade. But yeah, we really want to do that. And then we wanted all this to be under one roof. So, and we're a little concerned about safety-wise, the kids getting away. We already see it on Main Street all the time. These kids coming in and they just get away from mom and dad and dart across the street. So, we thought the Sky Bridge could really be, that'd connect directly to the arcade on the
Right.
east end. So, I hope that works out.
I totally understand the zero lot line concept and why you want to do that, but I will tell you from the emergency services side and responding into areas like that, it's a real challenge because you can't see anything. And to negotiate a turn with a ladder truck or any larger truck is, and I'm sure delivery trucks have the same problems, is you have to get out into that intersection before you can really see how you're going to proceed. So I understand, you know, the development aspect of it and what we've done down there, I think has been good. But it, just so you know, it does make it a challenge for emergency services.
Yeah, I get it. You know, I guess if you're an emergency vehicle, you're trying not to stop at every stop sign. You're trying to
Yeah,
get someplace
Jefferson Street
quick.
now is a challenge.
Yeah, so that's, I totally understood why that code was in place, especially when Jefferson didn't have the four-way stops, because you needed to be able to see up further, be able to do it. And honestly, I didn't think about the emergency vehicle situation. They're trying to cruise right through that four-way.
Right. You
So
know,
they're-
and to have a ladder truck and try to make that turn from Jefferson onto Main Street with
Yeah.
cars parked in the street and everything is, I can guarantee you, is gonna be a challenge.
The challenge for me here on this build was that there wasn't, on our properties downtown, there wasn't too many candidates that was long enough for bowling lanes. This was like the only spot we can do it, so, if I need to cut off that building, yeah, I'm gonna have to jump through some hoops, or just have fewer lanes. You know, I just won't be able to fit as many lanes in there.
Would you be open to making a 45 on that corner?
That's what I was thinking would happen if we didn't feel comfortable, if you guys didn't feel comfortable with, the zero lot line there. And what it's gonna do to me is eliminate lanes. We might end up having 12 lanes instead of 14 or 16, however many we end up, because I barely have enough room, because the lanes are gonna go along Jefferson there. And so if I have to put a 45 on that, I'll just have to push them all, towards Lafayette. There you go.
Correct me if I'm wrong, though, aren't there bump outs on both corners?
Bump outs.
Yeah, where there's no
Yes.
parking for a certain spot?
There is.
Yeah, like that. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that's what I was thinking.
And there,
Yeah, and that fence is a good representation. That's where the building would be. So,
the bump outs make it worse,
That makes it worse.
makes it worse.
yeah, it would be, yeah. Right now, I think in the drawing Aaron had up there, we had 16 lanes, and
Oh, yeah.
that's what it would do. We would be eliminating.
go this way.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you can see, but those lanes drawn there that I barely have enough room to get them in the seating behind the lanes. So I'd end up just losing 2 lanes. You know, that's not gonna stop us from building it, you know. We'll just have 14 lanes.
It was just a thought that would make it easier for the customers too. I would think that they would be able to have a little bit more visibility coming into the, of course they'll be coming to the back, but for other people coming to the downtown area, would maybe leave it a little bit more visually open.
Yeah, for us, you know, I'm sure, you know, to build this structure and, you know, we do the projections and see if 14 lanes still makes sense. I'm sure that it would. I don't think it's gonna change the projections enough to where it's gonna like scrap the project. You know, if we need to put a 45 on there, cause that's what we need for emergency vehicles. You know, obviously I want it square, I can get more lanes in the building, you know.
Sure.
John, oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, is your concern primarily just visibility around the corner as you go to turn the truck? Because I mean, you know, typically from an urban design standpoint, we would, most of the time, we prefer buildings on the street, you know, on the sidewalk, up on the street, face as much as we can kind of thing. I guess my one thought with that is with the pedestrian flow that's on Main Street, I don't think you're gonna be going through there at high rates of speed anyway.
Right, you don't.
You know, I don't think you're gonna be in there making, you might want to, You know, and if I'm on the other end of your call, I want you to. But I don't know if a person's really gonna be able to drive through that area that quickly anyway, just
Well,
because of
yeah,
the pedestrian flow.
Speed's not necessarily the issue. It's more of having the visibility of preparing to make that turn.
Okay.
Because if you've been down through there during the day, sometimes there's delivery trucks, there's
Oh, yeah.
UPS trucks, there's all kinds of stuff that parks, because there's no place to park, they park in a lane.
I'm down there every day,
Yeah.
and to be honest, and I know I started this by saying the parking was somebody else's issue to deal with, not ours here tonight, but I do have real concerns about the parking, because I think part of what's gonna happen, more so with Andy's moving, is I worry that that's gonna push parking into the old Drogies lot, which is private lot, and I worry that, you know, people are always gonna park where it's convenient and close. And I worry that people going to the alley are gonna park like in Clary's lot with their building on Main Street, because it's gonna be a closer walk, right? So, and it's not that I don't like the idea or support the idea or anything, it's just a concern I have that people will park at the closest place they can possibly park. And I see some private parking getting filled up, and I see street parking that our other small stores, the dress shop, the ice cream shop, you know, you mentioned the sandwich place and stuff. All those places rely on the street parking. And, you know, a lot of those, you know, a lot of your business is probably gonna be evening. Some of those places aren't gonna be open at that time. But that's,
I agree, you're
I know where I
right,
was
people
going.
park where it's closest, we know all about that, our lots are always full of everybody else's vehicles.
I come down Lafayette, coming back from lunch every day, and, you know, the side where the one drawing showed like a covered area for Andy's on the corner there at Lafayette and Main.
Yes,
Assuming that's where their outdoor sales is going to.
correct.
You know, those parking spaces now are pretty much full every day, right? You know, at lunchtime today, when I'm on a Monday, there was maybe one or two spots that weren't full, right, you know, in that area, so. Obviously, those cars are all going somewhere else, you know?
Right, yeah, and we let all the neighbors use those, I mean, obviously, that's our private parking, and we let everybody use them until we can.
Yeah.
You know, so, all those businesses on Main Street, they all park there.
Yeah.
And, same with the US Bank lot, the businesses across Lafayette, they all use that, and that's fine, you know, until it's not, right? Right, and I do believe, I've been pushing for quite some time, there is a parking issue. It's, you know, some people say it's a perceived parking issue, but it's clearly not. It's okay because everybody downtown that owns parking lots is gracious. If everybody that owned private parking lots would chain off their lots, then it would become obvious to everyone that there is in fact a parking issue downtown. You know, anytime there's a festival or parade or anything, all of our lots are completely full, and that's great. You know, we love to see everybody coming downtown and have no issues with it. Until we have a business and it's messing with our patrons, then we have to make it private parking. I you know, have plans and have gotten bids on a three-story parking structure that takes up the whole block of the US Bank lot. I would love to see someday some kind of deal be made there, between us and the city, and get a structure put up. We're probably, when the bowling alley is built, we're gonna make that parking for the alley. You know, and we'll probably do something like you can get a membership at the alley, and that gets you a parking spot downtown whenever you wanna use it, whether you're patroning us or not. But parking, I agree, I'm not sure what to do about it, you know. We tried to think ahead, knowing we were gonna build this and acquire that block. That's really all that was available, so figured we did everything we could to come up with as much off-street parking as we can, so.
I think it's great for the development, it's just getting more congested all the time. So,
Yeah. If we can get some weekday traffic down there. You know,
Yeah.
that's another thing in that mezzanine that we hope to be able to do some conventions and conferences and get some weekday traffic. Most of your businesses down Main Street are, they survive, but, you know, we're all in the same game. Some of us lose money during the week and try to make up for it on the weekend. You know, and that's the game everybody down Main Street is playing. You know, a lot of them have full-time jobs, you know, because they love their store, you know? And we can get more traffic during the week would be. So, talk a lot with business owners.
Any other questions for the owner from commissioners? Thank you.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Chad.
Is there anybody else in the audience that would like to speak to this?
Good evening, Commission. Tim Frankfurt, Fire Chief. This is deja vu. These are 100-year problems you're allowing here if you let this go on a zero lot line on a corner like that. We did this, if you would be so kind, show the cross the street corner at Main and Jefferson. When Dr. Clary came, actually Andy Understall came in, and Dr. Clary subsequently rents that building. The building across the street has a 45 corner on it, and there's a sight distance triangle that was put into place on that. It's actually in the code defined in section 300. That is what would be the appropriate way of handling this same scenario here. It's not just this intersection, it's 5th and Jefferson is one of the worst in town from a sight distance perspective from responding to calls. And if you allow this building to go zero sight distance all the way to the corner, you're creating a problem for 100 years. It's going to be there. This is what was done last time, recent history and past, and it works. The complaint actually arose from the block down at 2nd and Market, and there was actually complaints from citizens in the neighborhood about how tight that got, particularly when those buildings were built down there on the zero lot lines down there. And that's when the fire department came in here and proposed that triangle, putting that back into place. Thank you.
So you're saying there's I guess, could you, I'm sorry, reference the code section again? That this is,
just City of Washington, 300, sight distance triangle, it's in the definitions.
okay.
And the fire department does not agree with that development as stated, just to put that on the record. Just go in your search and put zero lot line setback, or zero lot line. There it is, right there.
Distance triangle?
Yes, sir. It's in the definitions. So it gives the parameters on how to do it.
I thought we had that.
It was codified. I don't think we necessarily.
this is
It wasn't enforced correctly on 2nd and Market, but it was enforced at Jefferson and Main on Annie.
I guess is there a specific code section that, because this is a definition, but is there a specific code section that says?
I'd have to do more research on
Okay.
that, but this is defining exactly the problem you're looking at here, and we do not agree with a zero lot line all the way to the corners on that intersection. That's a 100-year problem. We're living it right here, and this is a nightmare up here at 5th and Jefferson, and we don't want to see that continually replayed.
I guess what is the issue at 5th and Jefferson, the Washington Coffee Shop, is that's
see.
not great?
You can't see.
Sure.
Go the other way and come up to the intersection and then try to bust through an intersection. You can't get through it until you're in it.
There you go.
Ask the truck driver that clipped the corner.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Asked the truck driver that slid up to the intersection one night and almost hit a car. I was a young firefighter and had a very, very close near miss at the intersection.
I guess I would say that, probably the traffic volume on 5th and Jefferson is.
It doesn't matter, Aaron. It is a problem of sight distance that you're creating a 100-year problem, and that is not the way to fix it. Go to St. Louis and go look at why all the buildings are cut at 45s in the city of St. Louis. That's for sight distance so that you could see around a corner when you make intersections. It's the same thing applies here. It's a sight distance issue. That's why the building at Main and Jefferson was done that way and was chopped in a corner. If you go down 2 blocks onto Main and Oak Street, it's the same way in front of the building that's the art gallery, has the front corner chopped at 45. Same premise back then so that you could see around a corner. The bank is actually set back off the street. They don't have any parking in front of this. That building is actually set back. That's why there's no parking in front. That building has an artificial setback in it as well.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. Okay. Interesting.
So the recommendation from the fire department would be to put that corner in Airport of 45 and use the sight distance triangle as defined.
Any other questions for Tim?
That's fascinating, because I see all those in St. Louis, and I had no idea.
That's why they're there. The bank did that too as part of, when they did that property, one of the things the bank, or not property, that project, the bank came to the city and they vacated all the parking in front of the bank. And they were able to do that, but that helped them maintain the site distance, plus their structural steel is right in that corner, because they built the building over top the building, so they had to have that. Go around the building. Yeah, they built over top of the existing building. That was the only way they could make all of that work, but they vacated all that parking at that time.
Aaron, take a look at the performance standards section 400 point, whatever it is, I had it here a minute ago, 400.1, sorry, I just had it.
Thanks, Chief.
195, and it talks about the site distance triangle.
Okay, odor and waste.
Under G.
Illumination. Visibility, okay. Visibility on corner lots, private street alleys, notwithstanding, nothing shall be erected, placed, planted, or allowed to grow. Chili obstruction would be. Hold on, sorry guys, I'll try and zoom in on this. Well, that's kind of. That's about as good as we're going to get. Okay.
So that being the case, it would have to have the site distance triangle, and we would not have to put that in as a stipulation if we approve it this way, correct?
Correct.
I guess I'm confused about what exactly this is saying. Okay, all right, so it's saying, yeah, between 2.5 feet and 10 feet above street grade, you cannot put anything in the site distance triangle. Is that your reading, Mark?
So I guess they could build a building that's cantilevered over the site distance triangle.
Sure.
As long as it wasn't lower than 10 feet.
Okay, all right,
Correct.
I see. Okay, so you could, so in theory, they could, you could still have the second story event center, and then you have a pillar, down, but the
Well, you can't put a
Well, you
pillar
can't
in
put a
there
pillar.
either.
okay,
Nothing could be in that triangle.
okay. So, but it could hang over,
Right.
Okay, I see. That makes sense. And that would still require the special use permit because it's
Well, you still need that because of the
zero lot line. Correct. Okay. So I guess regardless, the site distance triangle would, that would be, you wouldn't need an extra, okay. We're on the same page. I'm there. I got you.
So we could approve it as is, and the site distance triangle requirements would automatically come into play.
Correct. That's something that the building, engineering and building and myself would enforce through site plan.
Any questions from commissioners or comments?
So as this is proposed, basically, we can make approval or a motion to approve it as such, because that site distance is gonna be covered in, as he said, the building approval process and stuff like
Right.
that. So,
He still has to meet all the other code
Exactly.
requirements. It's just
Right.
gonna allow a zero lot line
Right.
building.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep.
Any other comments, questions? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made and seconded that we approve the zero lot line for 14 West Main. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Very good. We got good discussion and good dialogue going there, so looking forward to it. Next item up is code changes, fire code duplication code change recommendations.
Yes. Good evening, Commission. And Tim, feel free to jump up whenever I have a presentation here, but feel free to comment, whenever you feel so inclined. So, this is something that Chief and I have been working on for a number of months now, and I think we're ready to bring it to you. Just some things that we want to clean up. So, how the zoning code and fire code interact. So, a long time ago, the fire department believed that the best way to ensure safe, clean, and adequate development throughout the city was to add pieces of the fire code to the zoning code. However, this has since had the opposite effect, as there's a section in the zoning that states, quote, "It is not intended by this chapter to interfere with or abrogate or annul any ordinance, rules, regulations, or permits previously adopted or issued and not in conflict with any of the provisions of this chapter, or which shall be adopted or issued pursuant to law related to the use of buildings or premises, and likewise not in conflict with this chapter, nor is it intended by this chapter to interfere with or abrogate or annul any easements, covenants, or other agreements between parties." And this is the key part here, except that if this chapter imposes a greater restriction, this chapter shall control. So there are a number of things that I'm going to talk about in this presentation, and Chief will mention here that the zoning code has control of that maybe the fire code ought to have control of. So just talking about the responsibility of the zoning code versus responsibility of the fire code. Planning Commission, you all use the zoning code and comprehensive plan to guide the city council on land use, infrastructure, and design to better the community. Fire department / building department use the fire code to ensure health, safety, and welfare of the public. And there are certain items within the zoning code the fire code should regulate. So for example, in the zoning code, we have the length of fire lanes. We talk about fire department connections. We talk about flash points, we talk about flammable liquids, and we talk about combustible liquids. And those last three, frankly, I don't know why those were ever put into the zoning code, but those were defined.
Long story.
Okay. Well, there.
I could probably get
It's
into
not worth,
that, but
it's
we
not
don't have
worth
time.
the
Okay.
history lesson on that part.
Okay. Good deal. So, the implications for the fire department are as follows. Fire chief is granted by the fire code discretion to waive or impose more stringent requirements on a case-by-case basis for regulations in the fire code. However, this is not the case for fire code items controlled by the zoning code, as per that section I read off previously. This is problematic for the fire department, the development community, and myself, the planning department. For the fire department, they do not have control of several key matters they ought to be enforcing, such as connections and fire lanes. For the development community, if there's an issue with a fire lane, this means a variance, $300 plus a 1-month turnaround instead of permission from the fire chief. We were talking about, Washington Square and the fire lane, and last year when Taco Bell subdivided off, they needed to get a variance for their fire lane width, where in most other communities, fire chief would just say, hey, listen, this is okay in this situation. They had to go before the Board of Adjustment because fire lanes were in the zoning code. And for the planning department to strengthen the integrity of the zoning code, we recognize that the zoning code and fire code should work hand in hand, but to strengthen both codes, they should remain separate entities. So, and then some additional changes that we've kind of made with this whole change is we've added several definition changes to kind of keep things in line with the International Building Code. These are things that Chief pointed out, so squaring in our definition of what a boarding house and a lodging house are, just to be lockstep with the building code. And then additionally, a definition shall be added for above-ground storage tanks, as followed. Tanks for the storage of hazardous materials, including but not limited to chirogenics, toxic, poisonous, combustible, and flammable liquids and gases. The adopted International Fire Code tank and hazardous material definition shall be utilized. And these were already special uses in our industrial districts, but adding them as special uses in our agricultural district, our C2 district, and our planned commercial and planned industrial districts are also part of this proposed code change. And Chief, if you have anything else,
You don't, are you, is it?
yeah, I'm done. So
I love the words you had earlier, was it?
abrogate.
Abrogate. I like
I don't know if I'm
Thank-
saying
thank-
that right.
Yeah, Mark did well on that one. Long story short here is that this was creating a lot of grief for the developers. What was happening is when the fire code gives some leeway in the way things can be done, and this fire lane's an excellent example of that. There's been a number of instances. For example, the one by Los Cabos, whatever, that 6700 block of Highway 100, there is a 3-foot section of that fire lane that is 23 feet and the rest of it's 26. And that had to go through all kinds of hoops for 3 foot of fire lane, which ended up costing them. And so what we've been doing across the board throughout the city code is looking at various areas. There's a number of departments are doing this. Our department's doing it as well. Within the city, and looking at what code doesn't apply and shouldn't be where. And there's fire code that got overlaid into the zoning code, and the zoning code is there for land use, and we fundamentally agreed on that. And so then we started looking at where should this stuff pull out and what should be done. So this is an effort to clean that up. You know, the tank special use, yeah, that's a special use that somebody needs to jump through a couple hoops for. Cleaning up definitions is something that I requested just so that there's continuity between the code. Some of this code was originally out of Boca, 1993 to 1999, so some of that didn't get caught up. But overall, what this is an effort to clean up the code a little bit and put the right code in the right spot.
So when you're referring to combustible liquids is all deleted out, all that's covered into the,
So what would happen is if someone would come in for a tank, they'd have to get a special use permit. The reason that was put in there originally, historically, goes back into the 70s. And so above-ground storage tanks were banned across the board, and they're still banned in the fire code. So you can't put an above-ground storage tank in. If you want to do it in those uses, that it requires a special use permit, and then that special use permit would then say, if it's approved, then goes into the fire code, then it starts saying, okay, if you have X amount of quantity, you have to be separated from building egress points or openings in buildings, and follow the fire code hazardous materials section that's laid out in there. So we'd have to follow that. That's where the code should be followed, because this code didn't have all of the parameters and details necessary to truly install it correctly.
oh, the main reason I asked was just what Aaron supplied to us. He had all that stuff crossed out, but had no reason why. So,
I'm sorry, where exactly?
packet, in the
Sure.
meeting packet,
Oh, yeah, I just, it was listed under the district regulations, and I just moved it into the use table.
So what happened there, Chuck, is it was laid out in, I know exactly what you're talking about because I did that striking. It was in each section the same verbiage. Just,
no, but it was combustible liquids, the definition.
right, all of that was laid out in there multiple places, and what we did is we combined that into one item to basically say,
Not
if you
that
want
whole
a
big-
pit tank,
Whole
you have to
big
get.
paragraph is, it was like class 1, or class 2, class 3A, class 3B, and that kind of stuff. It just, in the definition, I can understand where you're saying all the other ones, but in the initial one, it just didn't say why it was all marked out. It was,
It's all held in the fire code.
oh, I
so-
know, but it's a comment to Aaron more than anything.
Okay. I will provide clearer reasoning
Exactly.
in the future. Thank you.
There was no reason given to us why that was all marked out. I understand where you're coming from, and in a lot of those other paragraphs, yes. But it was like flammable liquids, you know, again, that whole section was all marked out, but there was no reason given by Aaron why any of that, because all the other things that were marked out, there was commented on the side why all these things were edited out and stuff. Those, he did not supply us anything. So it was really a comment to him
Good deal.
more than anything. Thank you. I understand where you're coming from, totally.
Yeah, the only thing we may come back to you at some point is, instead of a special use for specific uses as there may be all uses, and just make that very clean and simple. That way, if you want to put a tank in, the tank actually came in from the oil crisis in the 70s, and people were putting above-ground tanks in their alleys and all over the place and buying bulk fuel. And that was actually something the code had in it back in the 70s, from what I understand and been told. So that's why that specific was in there specifically.
Any questions for Tim? So we need a motion to make these changes, is that correct?
Yeah, recommend these changes to go to council. At the earliest, they'll go to the May
4th.
Thank you. The May 4th city council meeting.
I
So,
presume legal will review all of this beforehand, correct? He doesn't show much. Never know.
Sure. All right, then if nobody has any questions, I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded that we approve the fire code duplication code change recommendations submitted by the fire chief and Aaron. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tim.
thank you, Chief, again for coming out. I really appreciate your support.
Next item on the agenda is discussion item, reference home occupation code changes.
Yes. So last month, you all heard an application for a special use permit for a home-based school, and the action at last month's council meeting was to table that application, to come back and research as staff, kind of what are other cities doing regarding home occupations. And I found out pretty quickly that the state has preempted us in terms of what we can and cannot do in regards to home occupations. So in your packet, I included the two relevant state laws, both passed in 2022. And essentially it splits home-based businesses into no impact home-based businesses and impact home-based businesses. And no impact home-based businesses we cannot regulate from a planning perspective, essentially. This number 3 here on screen, except as prescribed in subsection 4 of this section, a political subdivision, a city, shall not prohibit the operation of a no-impact home-based businesses or otherwise require a person to apply for, register for, or obtain any permit, license, variance, or other type of prior approval from the city to operate a no-impact home-based business. And when I was researching other cities who were dealing with this, frankly, they were not happy. Their planning departments were not happy because this is taking away power from us as the city to, be able to regulate and ensure that, home-based businesses are in order and, they're doing the appropriate activities. The other thing to note about these state laws is we currently have certain home occupations prohibited. This state law, it says number 2 here, the activities of the business. So we cannot regulate what type of home occupation, occurs in for home-based businesses. So this is something I'm working with Mark to get you some recommendations to change the code as to be compliant with these state laws, even if they are not exactly the best. So, and my goal is to have those to you all next month, but we'll see.
So what's the definition of a no impact as opposed to an impact?
Yeah.
There's really not a spelled out definition, but you have to look, let's see, it is in here, but you gotta hunt for it, and I'm doing that now.
It's under number 3. It says, for the purpose of this section, a home-based
There you
business
go.
qualifies as a no-impact basis if, and then it lists
There you go.
1, 2,
those-
all the way down
okay.
through G.
There you go.
So this list on screen right here.
Right.
So, and for that reason, that's why the applicants for the last special use permit are not back before you. I mean, as far as we don't know their specific, they would qualify as a no-impact home-based
Aaron, am
business.
I missing something here?
Mm-hmm.
That if they're not required to apply for, register, obtain any permit, license, variance, or other type of prior approval, how would we even know whether or not
We
they
wouldn't.
had a home? Okay. So anything through 1 through G on that page, we wouldn't even know about anyway because
Correct.
they don't have to come
Correct.
before
If
us
they,
anyway,
if
right?
they, yeah, correct.
So that's part of the problem with the state law.
Correct. Yes. And frankly, I've, in researching this, planning departments across the state expressed the same sentiment you just expressed.
Well, it was brought up at the last, when she was here, about if they're high school students, they'll have cars, and that's going to affect the parking. And so would we not be able to do anything unless the locals complained?
Pretty much.
The neighbors?
Pretty much, yeah.
If they can't,
I guess one thing I failed to mention, and this is key here, is that we can still enforce building code, and, the nuisance as well. So, if neighbors have an issue or, we have someone who comes to us, like, the applicants, from last month, they're still in contact with the city, I should say, but they're just not required to obtain a special use permit. So they're in contact with, our building department as to, what requirements they are to meet for their
well, I know there are
proposed
a
school.
lot of things that come up that, with the police that are incident-driven.
Sure.
That things are, they're not looking for something to write a ticket, but if somebody has a complaint. then
Absolutely.
Okay.
This isn't gonna be.
You could still have a requirement, for example, Carol, and I'm just gonna make up numbers. You could still have a requirement that if you're gonna have a home-based occupation, you have to have so many off-street parking spaces. Because the statute specifically says you can still regulate building codes, health and sanitation, transportation, traffic control, solid or hazardous waste, pollution, and noise control. So you can still regulate some things, but you can't just outright say you can't use this property for a home occupation.
But it's important for us to know that when she comes back.
Well, she's not coming back to this
Oh,
board.
that's true, she wouldn't come back. But how
Correct.
would she know that we have, we require off-street parking?
Well, that would be a discussion with staff when they, come to us,
They still have
and
to
we
get-
would enforce that.
Yeah, they still have to get an occupancy permit.
Okay, that's key, okay.
Yep. Thank you, Mark.
And this
Part
gets
of
in
But
a,
if they
part of your building
didn't,
codes.
but if they didn't
They didn't what?
get
Get
an
an
occupancy
occupancy?
permit, how would we know if they even had a business going on in that house?
I would assume if the problem was bad enough, you would find out from the
So it's
neighbors
gonna be an
pretty
incident-based.
sweet, pretty shortly.
That's the change that this state law does make.
Right.
So,
Chief?
so there's a lot of home-based businesses that we see. Think of it from a daycare perspective. If you're under 5 kids, correct me if I'm wrong, Chad, 4, if you're that.
Lesser related to you.
Or do what?
Lesser related to you.
There's lots of those around town, but when you get above that, you start getting into state licensing, and that's the same thing a school would have to do, and that's where we get pulled into it. We don't actually do any inspections on daycares. We force the state fire marshal's office to do all that to stay out of it because they're reporting to Division of Child Services, so that's just a way to keep our hands clean a bit. But that's where you see there's a lot of home businesses. If you look around the city, contractors, carpenters, for example, they have them throughout the city. I have a business that I run out of my home from time to time. I do consulting, so there's home businesses everywhere. But it's that impact piece of it is that's the part that to address, and how do you manage that? School would be very interesting because you'd have to think the state would get very heavily involved in that. Multiple departments within the state, in fact. And we would probably punt that off, depending on what it is, to the state fire marshal's office as well to try to keep ourselves, like foster homes, we do not get involved in foster care either. We stay out of that.
Okay.
so something to look forward to. No recommendation at this time. Just wanted to discuss it with you all and say that this is what we found. So,
Aaron, the one question I have was item number 1. It says the total number of employees and clients on site at one time does not exceed the occupancy limit for the residential dwelling.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for a given dwelling, what is their maximum occupancy?
I believe this is in the property maintenance code. Blake explained. Let me see if I. Hold on. I had a presentation on this at one point in time. Let me see if I can pull this up.
Since there's anything else that we can't do on your end, or
Yeah.
that they'll come back and know that there's a limit that they can.
Chief, I don't want to put you on the spot, but do you know anything on the property maintenance code where it might apply?
I've got it here.
Oh, okay.
That's a great question. There becomes an
Yeah.
issue specifically on square footage and egress capabilities as well. That's part of what the code is trying to address here, is not exceeding the occupant limit of the building so that you have proper amount of egress.
I understand, but that's what, when it talks about the no impact, that's one of the items that they talk about there is.
So it's I got it on screen now. So it's the occupant load is based on the size of your living room, dining room, and bedroom, and the square footage of those specific rooms correlates to the amount of occupants that you are.
And so as long as they're aware of that.
And that is
Correct.
a pain to calculate because you're having to chunk.
It's
chunk up
insane.
You gotta chunk up.
I
Normally, you do a building like this, it's pretty easy to do occupant load. This is an
Right, yeah.
assembly, the rest is business. That is a gigantic pain.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I found some examples here, and it's like the smallest bed. I frankly, this is a little bit above me. I don't know if this is entirely clear, but I frankly don't entirely understand this, but yeah, it is a pain.
It's a lot of math. It's a lot of separating things out and doing a lot of math. And you're not good. It's not going to be, honestly, Chuck, you're not going to get a lot of people. I mean, you're going to be pretty capped. Most of your kids' birthday parties, celebrations at your house, Christmas parties, you're probably exceeding the occupant load of the
Oh, yeah,
residential building.
I understand that, but for the purpose of this, when they're coming to the city to sit there and.
Do a business.
Right. They're, whether it's an impact or no impact, whatever and stuff, and that's the thing. It's like, since they're not gonna be coming back before us, there's gotta be means for something.
Well, there are means. We
Right, I
have
know,
adopted
but
the property maintenance code, and we utilize these calculations
yeah.
to determine whether it's an
In this
impact or no
case,
impact business.
The bedroom's gonna be turned into an office space, so you can't use a bedroom calculation. It may be from a real estate perspective, because it has a bedroom, or a bedroom has a closet in it, that becomes a bedroom. You have a room with a closet, you can consider that a bed with an egress path, that's a bedroom. But from a business perspective, whatever rooms get turned into the business use would then have to be calculated on that. And
Right.
it's a little bit, 150 square foot per person, I think.
If I'm right, Aaron, the individual, assuming that we're doing this legally, we're doing it going the appropriate method, right? They're still gonna need to submit their documentation to the building department. It's still gonna need their normal plans and documentation that would go to the building department, site plan review and all that stuff, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So at that point, their design professionals that are putting together their building plans for them would be identifying the occupant load. They'd be identifying any fire ratings that were required, and all of that stuff would be part of the design professional's responsibility when they put their documents together, right?
Sure.
That information should all be submitted to the building department, as part of that review process.
I think only if there is any building modifications.
Yes,
If
that's
they're-
what I'm saying.
Oh,
They're not-
yeah.
If they're just
not-
going in, if they're
Yeah.
not changing their building, and if they're not,
We wouldn't know it would be happening.
it's no different than what
If
you
they're
have now.
changing the use, they should be. They should be coming in for a permit, they're changing use.
Changing the
But it's
use.
not, the state law prohibits us from doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it
Because-
depends if it's lived in, if the building's being lived in or it's being fully converted. So there's a balance there too. So if it's a live-in situation, that's
It's a
different.
home-based business.
Home-based business.
Yeah, so then you have to be living there, so then you have to start, then it would be a modification of some sort, because you're a mixed-use you're a mixed-use building.
But
Technically, they should be coming in for a permit.
I would agree with you, and I would like for them to come in for a permit, but I'm telling you right now,
Good luck
state
catching 'em.
law
But the state says-
says we cannot require them to obtain a permit, license, variance, or other type of prior approval from a political subdivision to operate a no-impact home-based business.
For no impact, yes. Impact, you
Correct.
would. Yeah, no impact, there's a lot of those. And those are, and as it should be, those are blind to the jurisdiction. Those should be operating without any, if somebody's giving piano lessons, you really shouldn't know that that's happening, or tutoring or what have you. You really shouldn't know, and that's what this law is basically saying.
Well, true, but what they were coming back with, I mean, it was like, they were planning on living in that house and then having this school, and it's like, you know, there's no limit to the number of students that they were gonna be having and stuff.
Not only is there a limit, there's also egress requirements. You can't have them come through the interior basement steps to get out of the basement, so there would be egress.
Well, I understand
components
that,
to
but if they're, again, what this thing is saying, it's like it's.
I don't think that would, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mark, you're the attorney, but that would, I don't know if that would equivalent to being no impact type of occupancy.
I don't think so either, and, I mean, the code does specifically say as long as it doesn't exceed the occupancy limit. Well, how would you know that unless you did the inspection?
Right.
Unless you looked at the interior of the building and
Right.
measured it, you wouldn't know.
Or a design profession, you know, design professional should supply that.
Okay, we educated ourselves.
Yep. Yep. So some to look forward to.
Okay. Couple things else that I would like to add. I talked to Aaron, I was wanting to take a look at the comp plan on our website for the city, and you had to dig to find it. It was buried under engineering and all different kinds of tabs, so I suggested that we try to get that to the front page somewhere, and city staff has made that happen.
It's on the front page now.
If you haven't had the opportunity to look at that, please do, because it's really pretty impressive what city staff is doing, keeping that current, and to actually see what's going on with our comp plan currently. So thank you, Aaron, for pursuing that and getting that out in front of the public. And then the other thing, tonight is Carolyn's last night with us, right?
Yes. The mayor called me and said my term was up and did I want to be reappointed. And at my advanced age, it's getting a little harder to get here. And,
You're only 65, right?
yeah, right. Oh, he's sweet. I like him. He's also on the library board, person too, so I'm gonna keep him. And I thought this was a good opportunity, when your term expires, is a good time rather than just disappear. And I wanted to make sure I had the opportunity to thank you all, because this is kind of out of my wheelhouse. But I've really learned so much from all of you, and it's been an honor to represent the city on this commission and serve with you guys. And not just because I'm the only woman, which I love, but it happens so seldom, you know. And but I really appreciate it, and it sounds like you're going to get a good person to replace me and someone who will continue to contribute. And I want you to know that if you ever need, you know, any help with historic preservation, I'll be glad to hit him over the head. And thank you all very much.
Carolyn, thank you.
Thank you, Carol.
Thank you.
You know how many years it's been?
I don't know. I know Sandy Lucy appointed me, and so that was a while ago.
She was appointed in 2012.
Yes, well, yeah, well, no, she was earlier than that because my last term when I lost was 2012.
So 2010,
There you go.
16 years.
Because I want you to know, I appreciated the fact that her meetings were so much shorter than Mr. Stratman's. And that's when I was on the council. And so those were good days. And I was highly flattered that she thought I was able to do this, because I just have a passion for the city. And when I retired, I've been so lucky that I've been able to stay involved, because to me, it's not something you walk away from very easily. And I really appreciate that. And I'm still gonna be at the library board, so I haven't disappeared yet. But I'm so grateful for this, to extend beyond just being the library director to being part of the city government. And I was so happy that the taxes passed. I can't tell you, because I was here 30 years ago when all that came about, and all that is so important. And I'm so proud of our community that they supported our city taxes that support such important things with a capital improvement, which of course the library would not be what it is today without it, the police department, so many things, and also the transportation tax. That is so good, not to have to pay for the street in front of your house or the sidewalks, and education. That speaks so highly of our public, our community, the voters who support us, and I'm so grateful for that. So I was glad to be still in a position where I could, first thing I did when I moved was move my registration to vote, so that I could, be there. And so thank you, and I'll shut up, but this is great. Thank you.
Thank you, Carolyn. You have been just a fine, fine example of volunteerism. And that's who we are as a city, and you represent the best of us.
Well,
Thank you.
I appreciate that, thank you.
And
You
I'd
don't
also,
find me at the fair, but you'll find me other places.
and I'd like to also mention that your replacement is here tonight. Matt, if you want to stand up. Matt Coleman. Matt and I will miss next meeting because we're going to be in Marbach, but he'll be with us every meeting after that. And you too, Chad, sorry.
We may not have a
That's
quorum.
great, well, I welcome
It's
you.
possible.
And the chair is warmed.
It's great you were talking about whacking somebody on the head. I hope that wasn't directed at me.
No, not at all.
We will be recognizing Carolyn at the May 4th council meeting with their proclamation, and everybody on the PNC board is welcome to attend. 7 p.m.
I'm gonna start at wallpaper, I have the historic preservation, the library, this is good. I appreciate that. It's unnecessary, but I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any other comments or from commissioners? Council? Mayor? Nope. If not, I'd entertain one last motion.
I'll move we adjourn.
Second. Motion made and seconded that we adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it at 8:12.
I'm gonna take my name.
So to say you should take that with you.
I put that in my closet, so if I don't know who I am, before I go in the day, I go, oh, that's me.
Well, I'm gonna miss you.
Well, I'll see you at the library.
I know, but
Actually,
now it's only gonna be once a month.
Well,